Hey guys, welcome to another episode of
Discovering Our Journey.
I'm your host, MC.
And I'm JC. Boom. So another week's gone by.
I know.
We've been making a lot of traction with a lot of things. I have perfected or I'm starting to understand my downfalls, as a parent when I say something and then contradict myself. Remember, we talked about that before. So I've been working on that, and I think something that stumped me that I see that you're very good at now, like as I see you're practicing, is when you're communicating with somebody and you're trying to understand them.
Yeah.
So that's something I'm still working on, especially with not getting emotional.
Yeah. It's just very hard because, we don't mean to offend people sometimes, but we let our emotions talk for us. And there's certain words, we've certain words
triggers that will trigger us.
We create those triggers, but yes,
because you're poking the bear.
It's one of those things where, I've said it on another show before. One of the things that I did with my wife one time was that, we don't, if we're cooking in the kitchen together and sometimes, you want to point something out like, hey, you spilled that, or hey, you're going to clean that or whatever. Sometimes can be a little bit depending on the person. Honestly, it shouldn't bother us, the truth. So someone to call you out and say, hey, you're going to clean this up? Oh, yeah. It shouldn't bother us.
No.
But unfortunately, we have certain issues, and even myself has certain issues. So we have to kind of figure out a way now to deal with stuff like that.
Yeah.
And sometimes, even be okay with the situation. So what I came up with was say we on most stuff, right? So,
and that does help. It's less defensive.
It's more like less right. Like pointing, right?
Yeah.
It says, oh man, if you sit there and you're like, oh, we need to clean this water up, Of course we know who dropped the water. It's only two of us in the kitchen, right? So, so it's like, so that's how it is. So one of the times me and my wife were cooking and she was watching the tortillas, right? And they were burning. I was like, babe, our tortillas are burning, right? I didn't say she's burning them. I said, our tortillas are burning, because I was over here dealing with something else.
Oh, gotcha. I was like, I'm hoping you were helping.
No, we were both doing stuff, but she was in the sink and the oven's right behind her. So she was doing double duty, and I'm over here.
What we usually do, we put on too many times.
That's right. It takes me very focused to chop these vegetables in the squares that I need to chop them, right? Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm very particular about my, millimeters in my squares, and it takes me a while. So she assigns, and she puts me to the side because she says I take too long.
You're using that measuring thing?
Yeah, I'm like, hold on, babe, this one's a little too thick. Hold on. So, that's just how I am. So she's like, can you be over there? So I'm over there, and I'm over there. I'm like, hey, babe, I think our tortillas are burning.
Oh my God.
So it's just one of those things where I threw out there, and it's like, instead of being like, hey, you're burning the tortillas, like I would normally say, right?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Which again, we try to work on stuff so that we were not too, because we both do things, and we want to make sure we shouldn't have a face, we shouldn't have a tone, we should be okay about it because, it's not that big.
That's only in Happyville, though. That's only in Happyville world, right?
No, that's the thing.
We want to strive to get there.
Oh, yeah.
We want to strive to get there, but what are the tools from what you've learned? Let's just say we have a moment where there's always one or the other that's just trying to do more, of the growth.
Mm-hmm.
So if we have one that wants to address things on a neutral level with no arguments and being like, hey, let's talk about this, and the other one always gets defensive, how can we communicate so that there is no misunderstandings, there's no popping off? It's more like, I want to get this hashed out. So when the moment comes, we don't have to argue about it because I'm bringing it up in that moment. It's now in a neutral spot. How do we make those neutral moments happen?
I really think that talking about not just the situation, it's how we look at things, I think is sometimes more important than getting into the situation. So if we look at things like, for example, let's just say throwing the trash out.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest with you, I don't care if I throw it out on the trash day. To me, it's not that big of a deal. So I throw it out one day. Oh my God, it's in there for a whole week. Woohoo!
Wait. What do you mean? Like from your house out to the trash?
Yes, exactly. The truth is, I really don't care. Yeah, trash day.
Okay.
Who gives a? if we throw it
Wait,
out,
wait, but there's a smell.
that there they go. Well, hold on. What are you saying? The trash can will smell.
There's a rot that happens.
Sure.
There's fluid that begins to
Okay,
accumulate
well,
at the bottom of
But
right.
who's going to be cleaning? Now, again, if you're the one that's cleaning it, you don't want to deal with that. But if I'm the one that's cleaning it, or I got to deal with it, then let me deal with it. Now, again, I'm not saying.
How about the flies that accumulate? I mean, those. We're
again,
okay with that.
I'm not saying. Now, just listen to what I'm saying, though.
Difficult.
I'm not saying that it shouldn't happen, right?
Right.
That's not what I'm saying. But the truth is, it's difficult because I don't care about it. You know what I'm saying?
So see, but that's what I'm saying.
I know.
When you care and the other person doesn't care, how can we get that conversation to that point where we both care? Because you care for her and she cares for you. So
we've established about at least an understanding where at least the day before we try. It doesn't always work. Again, it's a work in progress.
But how did you get to that understanding? Because I would like to know step by step.
Sure. So for example, like the trash. So since it's always the day of, or the night before, sometimes during the day, she's like, you know what, why don't you just throw out the trash right now? So we don't wait towards the night, so she's helped with me.
Wait, but then that's you, right?
Yeah, I know. You.
So you're okay with that being you and not me?
But see,
we should probably take out the trash today.
No, because
we should do it right now.
I'm in a different level where there's certain things that she can say I don't care.
So you need to understand your partner then, and what makes them kind of like
yes. Yes.
Like a horse, right? Like
we have to understand, we should not be offended by you if they're calling us out, because especially if you feel they're coming from a loving position.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Do you feel, I'll get to that in a minute about that part. But the thing is that, so we talked about it. And so we even do it. Sometimes we even do it 2 days in advance. Like today, I took out the trash today. Today is, so we got one more day till trash day. So technically speaking, if I don't throw anything that's going to smell in the trash can, I don't got to throw it out tomorrow.
Okay.
Or later.
Okay. It's just full and.
So right now I already threw it out. So what, did it way earlier in the day, and we try to keep a trash bag for something like if we're going to throw something that's going to be smelly or whatever, we try to throw it away somewhere else. So that way we can, if she has a chance, even she could throw it away in the morning before, the trash comes. But the main stuff's already been taken care of.
Gotcha.
And you touched on a really important case about about you. Do you feel that way? There's a situation that we had before was, when we would drive. Well, we still have them, but she sometimes gets freaked out by the way I drive. I'm not saying that I don't. I'm not saying that I don't blame her. And the problem is this: I don't blame her for some stuff. I ride a little close, do little cuts. But so imagine me. I drive a little more reckless, and she's more exaggerating. So you put those together, it's a toxic situation because she's more, like this. It's like she's had people in her lives that are like, I don't drive with this person or that person because of this same reason, and you're like this. So it's like, so she's got her issues, and I got my freaking issues.
Right.
So then what ends up happening is she's like, watch it, and we have these discussions sometimes.
So then you understand that she maybe has like PTSD, and she's like, she needs you to calm down. So you empathize.
So I empathize on her. I empathize. I empathize on her reaction now more than I used to.
Okay.
I used to get mad at her, like, dude, what the hell's wrong with you? It's like, this and that. It happened the other day. She's like, she thought, I was gonna go. We're on a hill. Like, car looked close. I didn't think it was close. I started going. And she's like, and I'm like, oh, and I stop in the middle, like before I get it. I'm in the first lane. The car's coming in the other lane, so I'm turning, and I'm like, babe, I felt it was close. I said, just don't listen. I'm like, no, but I gotta listen, because what if I made a mistake? You know what I'm saying? So I talked to her and I'm like, hey, careful when you do those sounds, because it's gonna mess me up driving too. I can make a mistake because I'm listening. I'm scared that I didn't see something, because again, I'm a very go for driver. So what if you did see something?
Yeah.
So I talked to her about it now. I don't get upset with her anymore. Is there a time that maybe I'm like, all right, stop? Sure. I'm a human. I can't mess up.
Right.
I can mess up.
But those were your steps.
But I am getting better at calling her out on, babe, I get it, Memo. Yes, I see that, I'm getting a little close. Or sometimes I'll be like, yes, I see them stopping, but I'm going to try to go around. Like, I'm just going to wait till so at least I try to tell her.
So we're barely going to touch the bumper.
Yeah, barely. Just don't stick your hand out the window, okay? and she's worked on herself too. She closes her eyes a lot
sure.
more. So, it's like, it's one of those things where it's a give and take kind of situation.
Yeah.
So it's just like, yeah, go to sleep, baby. That's all right. I got this.
Your man's got you.
Yeah, I got you, baby. Don't worry. It's like,
But it's always going to be like that. I noticed that there's always going to be one that desires something more money, a better career, better house, something better physical. And then the other one's kind of like, yeah, okay, I'll support you.
Yeah.
But then when they're starting their venture, you kind of want your partner to meet you at that same spot.
And I think, like you were asking earlier, is sometimes going at those questions a little bit less indirective. Instead of saying you don't see the value in saving up for a house and spending less money going on vacations, it's like instead of going direct with that,
Yeah.
it's like really find out what the person values.
Yeah.
Or what is your expectation in life? Or how do you feel like we should get to where we want to go? Understand that first before you dive in there. That way there's no types of, sitting there talking, well, I want to talk about this. No, well, let's talk about that first.
I completely agree with that. Now, I've had a past, right? And I think I did the best this time around because that's why I think our parents tell us, wait to get married, because you don't know yourself. You don't, let alone love yourself, right? And your confidence isn't as high. You don't know what you want. And so sometimes we jump into relationships, especially marriage, thinking, well, he's going to love me, so I'm going to love myself more, And I think that's where our downfall is. Now, when I got older, and unfortunately, my past happened, when I met my hubby, I finally was able to be like aligning with my goals. Like, hey, what do you want in life? What are you expecting? What do you see yourself? Do you see yourself renting? Do you see yourself traveling? Do you want a house? Do you want kids? Like, what do you want?
Okay. Let me stop you real quick. Be honest with me. Did you ask him that and really hear his responses? Or you said, oh, I want this and I want that and I want this. And he said, oh, yeah, I want the same thing.
That's correct. So I did half of what I should have.
Okay. But see, that's a mistake a lot of people do.
I sure did.
Doesn't matter women and doesn't matter men. The point is that you cannot tell a man, especially I feel like a man because we're very logical. It's like, all we hear is, this and this and that. Want with me. Yes.
Okay, wait. I didn't say I did the second one perfect, okay? But I did way better than the first, okay? So yes.
But I know
I said what I wanted.
Yeah.
And so when you would think he was nodding his head, it was like, yeah, he wants the same thing.
Yeah, I want to be with you. And I'm hearing what it takes. I'm not really listening.
So we're going to hit the bed when?
So on the third date, right? Once we get married, what? You're not going to live with me until I buy you a ring until we get married? What?
Girl, will you marry me?
Will you marry me? Yes, exactly. So it's like, don't tell a guy that because again, he only hears the last part.
That's right.
He don't hear everything else in the hard work. What's funny? I did hear something. I don't know why it just came to my mind.
What?
It's almost something like I just saw this on, one of our, when you're looking up those little mini whatever posts and stuff.
Mini posts?
Yeah. It's something about helping. It kind of relates to this. When you tell someone, hey, you can lose weight. You can, or whatever it is, you tend to tell them something, you're going to tell them something positive, but you tell them the hard work after, it brings a person down.
Tell them something positive, and then you tell them the hard work. Oh, well, yeah, because then it's work. It's like you're...
No, but it's the brain. If you actually tell the person, the hard work first, and then the positive, it makes a big difference.
The hard work first. Well, it's like when you say no to somebody. When someone invites you somewhere, I've learned that too, because I used to be a yes person. I now understand, because I used to tell them the reason why I couldn't. And now I've changed it around where I'm like, oh, I can't go. And then the reason why I can't go, if I really desired to go. You know what I mean? Otherwise, I think it's kind of like a cop-out, and they kind of get upset with that. But if I first tell them no, it goes by smoothly as far as like they accept it. Isn't that interesting? At least that's what I realized.
I mean, there's different ways to talk to people. And like I said, a big one for me that even my wife always, I would be with friends, years ago, we'd be hanging out with friends like, oh, let's get together this week and, go play racquetball or something. I'm like, yeah. And then my wife's like, he can go play racquetball, right? I was like, what do you mean he said that?
Yeah, with something else going on.
No, people say that. I'm like, what? People just say stuff? It's like, what? Well, yeah, they just...
Oh, false promises.
Yeah, it's like, dang, dude. I was like, what? I thought we were going...
oh, we should get together soon.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, one of those.
Yes. And sometimes I would see it though.
You need to know those people though. You got to know those people.
But see, here's another thing that I did kind of learn.
You're talking about learning people's languages.
No.
There are those people.
But I did
people pleasers.
But I did realize that a lot of it was brought on by me. Like, man,
your expectations.
In other words, like, again, we go back to what I said, like the whole...
You're factual.
No, that you say stuff. So I'd be like, oh man, we got to go play racquetball. Yeah, we should do that this week. See, I started it and said, oh man, I can't wait. We should go play racquetball. And they're like, yeah, let's get together this week.
So they throw the idea.
No, I did.
Like the date.
No, backwards.
Oh,
so I did. It's almost like I was telling you earlier. It's like, oh, I want to do this and I want to do that with your partner. And he's like, yeah, I want to do it too.
Gotcha.
You get what I'm saying?
Makes
so
sense.
I realized that I would do it more. Like I was the one that was like, oh man, we got to get to, yeah, let's do it. Let's have some coffee. Oh, sure. Okay. So I would say, I realized that I was creating that.
Yeah.
And then they were just following.
Yep.
And then I'd be all mad and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, what the heck?
Yeah.
Sitting by the phone, you don't call me. I was like, he lied to me. He said he would. So, yeah, exactly. So, I realized that I would. Now, the other part of me now, after I changed my way of being, because I noticed that also when I stopped saying that, it was a lot less of, them saying stuff to me. But then I kind of call them out and be like, look, you let me know.
Don't play with my heart.
Yeah, they'll be like, hey, we got to get together. Look, this is the rule now, man. You call me, I'll be there. That's it. We'll leave it like that.
There you go.
He never called me though. But but that's what happened. I was like, cause I'm tired of hearing it. But look, I was dishing out before, but now he's, person's feeling it like, dang, I keep telling him we gotta get together and we don't.
Yeah.
You know what? But and there's no resentment. I rather that. Like I told my wife, because she's like, oh, you're so hard. I was like, no, but I was being honest with him, and there's no hard feelings. I rather he don't call me for a year than him promising me every month we're gonna get together and we don't.
Yeah.
It's like I respect that. He's got life. I don't hold it against him.
Yeah.
I just hold it against him when he says we should and we're going to, and then we don't.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
That's why I don't commit now. Now I'm just like, well, let me check my calendar. I'll get back to you at that.
Yeah, don't.
That sounds like such a great idea.
Yeah.
So bringing it back around, yes, there's always going to be someone that's more motivated and the other person that's not so motivated.
And it's all
when that happens. Yes.
It's all about communication. That's what we're trying to talk about here. It's just the way you communicate with someone, the way you see things. It's not so much as seeing it like the other person. Sometimes, how do you see things and really realize it? How you say things.
Absolutely. But when change is never easy. We've said that many times. Change is never easy. And so when you're changing, your partner's going to change too, and maybe not the direction you want them to. And so that might cause a lot of fear. Mm-hmm. And when we fear, we get emotional.
Yeah.
Right? And so we gotta keep that in mind, because we actually got a little email that got us all on this topic here. And I thought it was very interesting. So it reads, "Hey guys, I stumbled across your podcast and listened in on a couple of your segments. I've spent the last several months dedicated to self-improvement. I'm eating better, exercising daily, and focusing on my mental health. I feel like a new man, but my wife is reacting with resentment and suspicion." Mm-hmm. Why? Because that's change, right? "She constantly asks who I'm getting fit for and picks fights whenever I head to the gym. I thought she'd be happy to have a healthier husband, but her jealousy is making me feel guilty for bettering myself. Do you have any suggestions?" That's a toughie. That's a toughie.
That's I can all I can say on my behalf that I've noticed that sometimes we can give unconsciously, we deal with a lot in life, and yes, we're trying to feel better about ourselves. Yes, we're trying to, look better, feel better, however you want to see it, and we're doing something that's supposed to be better for our lives. And as our partners, sometimes it's, we can lose track of our partners also within
Yes, we
this
can.
situation.
Yes, we can.
And I think if we start focusing on ourselves more, and especially if you weren't already working with your partner, there could be a little bit of resentment there going, let's just say you're going to the gym and you're like, shaving or putting on cologne or something like that. You're like, oh, dang, you don't really put on cologne normally, but you're putting on cologne.
See, that would raise suspicion to me too. It's like,
It's like,
what's going on?
it's like, especially if he doesn't do it oftenly, it can, right? It can. But the truth is that, yeah, maybe he's trying to feel good, but is he also working on his relationship like that?
That's what I wanted to say, is that that's a big thing what you're doing. I'm hoping that before you started seeking this new way of thinking and desire, I'm hoping you had a conversation, right? Because it always starts with that, like bringing your partner into what the goal is. Like, what are you doing? Did you find out that you had some pre-existing diabetic problems, or like, what was your reason? What got you to desire this? Right. So I think communicating that would help with the fear.
I think it can, but like I said, I feel that if you also give this more importance and you're not also partially working on your relationship, if there's something going down, then it's like if you're just living, whatever life, and you're not really spending a lot of time with your partner, and the next thing you know, you're spending all this time at the gym.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're at the gym. It doesn't matter if you're at work. The point is that you're avoiding something that you should be working on also. So that's what the difficult part is.
Yeah.
And for women, I would say that sometimes, this was a gentleman that was asking about this, that for women, sometimes they might not be getting the attention they want, and they go to the gym and work out and get the attention they need instead of really talking to their husbands about these things. And then that's not good either.
No, yeah. And in a relationship, you can't be selfish. You gotta always bring your partner with. So if you're desiring this, I mean, is she also desiring that too? And if she's not, would it maybe be helpful to do something maybe that she's interested in? Like, when you guys were dating, was she in volleyball? Was she in swim? Did she like going to the beach a lot? Can you incorporate your new lifestyle to kind of fit hers? Right?
Yeah, like I said, you have to work on, what, I'm feeling better. It can even be date night. We never did date. We don't do date nights as much anymore, but now that I'm feeling better and whatever, I think, let's go out on a date and stuff. So it doesn't have to be something that's exactly, an activity that's exactly, the same as working out. It could be a date night. It could be something else. I mean, it could be whatever it is, but the point is that you can't focus more on yourself,
right?
And ignore, especially if you've been ignoring the relationship, even more ignore it. You know what I'm saying? Because then yes, there's going to be suspicions and this and that, and not even suspicions. It's just they're not being filled. They're not being felt that you're listening, because it's like, man, you're really dedicating yourself to this, but to us, I feel like you're just
Yeah, and it's changed. Like, what happened if there's not that conversation? It's such an important piece, and you can't leave your partner behind. It doesn't matter what you're doing, like, and it's good. It's always good to change into something new. But that conversation had to have been had before. Like we said before, right? In a neutral space before the actual problem.
Sure. Say, hey, look, this is what I'm looking into. I want to join this and that. Now, I'm on the fence on, there's a lot of people say, oh, well, bring your partner in with you.
Yeah.
I'm on the fence on that, because I feel like,
sometimes you're slowing yourself down for them, maybe?
Well,
because your ambition isn't as high?
The purpose is always going to be different. If the purpose is for them supporting you, it's like, unless you really feel like you need it, then sure. But if you don't feel like you need it and they want to join, let them join. If they don't want to join, they don't have to join. But because the purpose is always going to be different. Because the truth is this, it's almost like saying, if I wouldn't have joined, then your partner might have not have joined. So then why join because I'm going? Let's not do things, because we do still need our time to ourselves to work on ourselves. And we're a little focused on, what we want to do. So we want to kind of, we don't always want to mix together everything.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Again, everything's on a personal basis. It just depends. But the thing is this, you focus on you let them know, hey, look, I'm going to start doing this. I want to work on my health. I want to feel better. Like you said, that he was saying that it gives him a little bit of encouragement and stuff like that. Self-motivation. I talk to people all the time. I work out, at least 2 hours a day. I try at least 3 times a week. I try for 5, but it doesn't usually work. 4 maybe, sometimes 5. And it's for sure it's about 3. And 3 times a week.
Which one is it? Because
And,
you keep kind
I
of
know.
putting it down and then down and then down.
Depends on what week you ask me. So it
Was
just,
there a birthday on that week?
yeah, was there a birthday on that? Was it a holiday?
Yeah.
But, and the bottom, like I tell them, I'm in a stage of my life where I feel that, yes, I'm not so focused on my muscles anymore. I'm not so focused on that. It's going to come. I'm working, of course, on my number one thing, which is my meals.
Yeah.
I'm working on my food.
Yeah.
Aside from that, man, the power, though, they always say 80% of weight loss is the food. But I feel that 80% of the encouragement is that good feeling that you wake up or you go to
Absolutely.
the gym that food cannot give you. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? You
Yeah.
feel so good. You're pumped. You're working out. You got a good
You have a
trainer.
higher self-esteem.
You have a higher self-esteem.
A better outlook on everything.
Exactly.
It's hard.
Yes.
It's hard. You almost get like a rush.
It is. It is like a rush. It is like a rush. You're like, man, your adrenaline is pumping, and you got good music going on. And you're like, yeah, you're working out to the Rocky theme or something. It's like,
Yeah.
what? Lifting up and stuff.
And so all I can say for my part, as being a female thinking about the situation is check in with your partner.
Yeah.
And if something is lacking there, like pick her up.
Mm-hmm.
Pick her up. And if she doesn't want to work out, right? At least, touch her, like give her time and what her love language is.
Yeah, figure out if you are, neglecting that, working on, and I get it, it's important to work on yourself,
Absolutely.
but you are part of a marriage. So that means that you chose to be with another person, and we got to give a little bit to that too. So not just yourself, but also give some to your partner. So if you are, sit down, have a talk with her, say, look, this is where my journey is. Involve her in your journey. Hey, look, do you mind if, help me measure myself? Or, because some people like to take measurements and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Make her part of your journey.
That's important.
It doesn't always have to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, hon, what do you think if we, do this or whatever? It would help me if we were to do a little bit, like maybe fish once a week, just to get a little healthier protein. Involve her in it. And like I said, spend some time with her too. Don't just focus all your energy on the gym, because
don't get defensive,
and
right?
Don't get
Don't
defensive.
defend yourself. Empathize.
Yeah, empathize with how they're feeling.
New, and what your goal is. Because it's scary.
Yeah.
It's scary to see someone change, especially so drastically.
Yeah, if you start really focusing, and some people do, they start to focus so much on it that they just neglect a lot of stuff, and they neglect the kids, they neglect their wives, they neglect, even work sometimes.
And sometimes we can get a little callous and forget, about the other person and be like, dude, you're being ridiculous and emotional and kind of passively, just excuse ourselves.
Yeah.
But when you have a partnership, you gotta lead with empathy, right?
Definitely.
It's important.
Yeah.
That's the best suggestion I can think of.
Yeah, just we treat these, these questions just like how we would handle them. We're not, giving anyone any type of directional advice to say, hey, you should do this or you should do that, because we don't know the whole gist of everything. That's why I said we don't know how
the bigger picture is so different.
It's
How's your attitude, your behavior? There's so much to be done in there.
Exactly.
But it is hard, and I'm glad that you reach out, because that's what a community does. You seek like-minded people, and you want to reach out and say, hey, what do you think? That's friendship.
Yeah, and some of the stuff that we said might resonate within you. Going, oh yeah, that's true. I guess I didn't think about it that way. Mm. And then you can create your own narrative of what's best for you and how to address the issue.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So guys, if there's anything you want to write about, a topic that you would like us to talk about, either a situation, something you've heard, and we will give you our point of view of how we've dealt with these types of issues in our own lives, we would love to share that with you. And you can share with us. You can write us at dojrequest@gmail.com.
Down at the bottom.
Yeah, and we'll put it inside of the information.
Yeah, and we'd love to talk about it. It's important to share, right?
Definitely. And like I said, hearing our points of views, we would love to hear from you, what topics, what situations, and give you our insight of how we would deal with it or how we've dealt with it, if we've done those things.
Because we're all a work in progress.
That's right.
And sometimes it doesn't just hurt your relationship with your spouse. It goes deeper, like in the family line, change is just never easy for many of us.
And sometimes it's hard to talk to. It's hard to talk to friends. It's hard to talk to family, because a lot of people are very objective of the situation. They're very on this side or that side. It's very hard to find someone that's going to be right down the middle.
Yeah.
there's always someone that you want to tell it to, but next thing you know,
You're
it's
like the bias.
yeah. So it doesn't help you when they're being directed. Oh no, you shouldn't take that. Oh no, you shouldn't. No, nobody can say what you should or shouldn't take.
Yeah. Yeah.
All they can do is suggest what they've done with. Because a lot of times, I don't know if you've seen this before, but a lot of times people go to other people for certain situations, and they're in tougher situations than you are.
Oh my
And you're
gosh,
like,
yeah.
wait a minute, what? I had a situation like that with, sometimes someone mentioned something about money, and it's like, wait a minute, what are you talking about? Like,
Aren't you driving your mama's car?
yeah, I was like, wait a minute. How many credit cards you got maxed out? What? So we got to be careful sometimes. And it's so much easier to give advice or tell someone what to do.
But sometimes, let me tell you though, hey, sometimes you can actually hear some sound advice because it's easier being the outsider looking in. And you don't you don't practice what you preach. That's why that saying goes, practice what you preach.
Yeah.
But
the thing is this, is if you are going to give someone advice, advise them how it worked for you.
Yes.
Or how you felt like you handled the situation, and not just put yourself in just like, oh no, don't take that. But you take a lot of other stuff,
And sometimes, like we said before, it's good to not even talk, just to listen and be that soundboard, right?
Yeah, be that soundboard for the person, be that person that says, okay, and this is what, what you're saying, and this is what I'm hearing and stuff. And it's hard to be a soundboard because, again, especially with friends and family, because, again, we go with the emotions like, oh, he said, oh, I know how you are. You don't mean you're just trying to get healthy. You're just trying to do you. Like, what? She don't care. Like, yes, yeah, I know that, again, emotions are talking, that they're one-sided looking at what, you can. And there's two sides to every coin.
Unless you've got true friends that'll tell you the truth and you're like, slap with the truth.
Yeah,
I've got some true friends and I really love them. It's not easy to swallow their pill, I'll tell you.
No, shit, yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, you want to tell me the truth? Let me tell you some of yours.
Hey, like they say, sometimes the truth hurts.
It is.
And it's always painful. And you know what we always say?
There's no growth
without pain.
Until next time.
Until next time.